We are in the upper right, in the red for Twisted Minds. In our last game of the day, it's Classic.
And his opponent spawning down on the bottom left for Team Liquid. It is the young Frenchman, Clem.
Clem.
Malem. And, I mean, yeah, Clem has been... He's been a difficult player to deal with, very aggressive. I mean, obviously, we talk about the micro that Clem can display. It's his bread and butter. But Classic, I mean, he's been looking really sharp recently. He had the stumbling block in the beginning of Game 1 versus Kelazur, but he recovered beautifully in the series, took that one in 3 games. And, I mean, Game 2 and Game 3, to be honest, they at times looked almost hopeless for Kelazur, you know?
Yeah, the question that we have to ask here is how warmed up these players are, right? You know, Classic, he hasn't played for, what, an hour and a half right now? He's been sitting around, sure, and we saw he was in maybe a warm-up lobby, but Clem just came from an hour and a half, like from a long TBT where he played mid-game, early game, late game as this awesome series. And yes, there's two sides of that coin. There's the one hand, he's warmed up, he's ready to go, and we've seen this happen in series. I mean, you were talking about Classic. On the flip side, you know, is he fatigued out of that? But Steadfast, how do you feel? Is being able to go straight from series to series, is that going to be a benefit, or is that kind of not a curse necessarily, but maybe a lack of a downside for how Clem wants to play?
That's the question. That is really the question. Clem is a player who, as far as I can tell and as far as I have seen from him, he is a player that just, I mean, he does love to play, and he doesn't seem to get fatigued, but when it's such a different atmosphere playing at a live tournament, because the difference between that and just playing an open cup is, I mean, it's drastic. You have to get in such a more competitive mindset. I don't know. I think it's going to be, we'll probably find out in the first, you know, maybe 6 to 7 minutes of this game to see, hey, what's Clem looking like? And, well, it's already a decent start for him. He gets the scout on the Stargate. He'll figure that out very quickly. That's great information for him.
And on the other side, well, he does have to deal with this Adept, and that's something, but this is like the minimum commitment that Class is going for. He's got one Adept on the other side. It's denying the natural for a little bit. Clem's going to have to wait until he has maybe 4 Marines, or, you know, a couple Marines and a Hellion, something like that. But this is actually just a little bit awkward. He's going to get 1 Marine, get out, and Clem just didn't lower the depot. Like, you add the Hellion there, the Adept falls, and maybe you get a little bit more. No, so now it's a scout on the production. It's a scout on everything as well. Adept still stays alive, at least for a little bit longer. Shouldn't get an SCV. But Clem just had to bring the Hellion down to the natural, and none of that happens. Is that fast?
Clem,
okay.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying none of that happens unless, yeah.
No.
Been a long day. No, Clem was focused on the Reaper on the other side of the map. He was focused on the Reaper, trying to keep that alive. Did manage to do so, but it comes at a cost. Even a superhuman player like Clem can only look at one part of the screen at a time, one part of the map at a time. There's only so much you can do. It's just not possible to do more than, you know, the limits of humanity. Now we are going to see the scout coming on in. He will get a nice little grenade on the way through with that Reaper, so good stuff. But yeah, this is rather interesting. What was that just got picked off? That was the Hellion, right? Yeah. I swear it looked like there was blood on the floor, but apparently that was machinery.
I mean, Hellions have pilots, Steadfast. StarCraft just had a visual improvement. We can see inside the cockpit. But we do have Classic as he's going to look for the scout going in. I mean, Cyclone gets a lock on. You got to lift that one. You don't want to take too much damage there as Marine will fall. But we do see Classic again. He's going for Phoenix Colossus. It's not Phoenix Charge, nothing like that. And that does seem to be the way that Classic wants to play this matchup, at least on this weekend. Certainly he's a fan of other styles as well. And against Clem, against this guy who's known for his multitasking, his micro, his ability to start to control the map in the mid-game, you know, I quite like that. You have Phoenix to control drop play. That's always going to be very nice, as Phoenix have to be careful here. But because he cuts 3, we have this ultra modern Phoenix Colossus style, the Colossus are going to be out very quickly. So any sort of 2.5, 2 base pressure, 1-1-1 type of timing that Clem wants to go for, or 3-1-1, excuse me, timing that Clem wants to go for. I mean, he's going to have, Classic's going to have 2 Colossus out. It doesn't seem, or it seems like Classic's going to have everything he needs to make sure that any sort of pressure Clem goes for, it's not going to be that effective.
Yeah. Oh, nice lock-on break right there on the Phoenix lift. Will take a fair bit of hull damage on these Phoenixes, and I think he might need to recall.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay. I was going to say he's still out of range, right? But yeah, he will recall. Just wants to get those Phoenixes home as quickly as possible. They get chopped off by the shield battery. It is still a lot of damage on them, so it's going to be tricky to lift critical units out of the fight, but look at this timing from Clem. Like, this is such a fast stim combat shields timing, and he's got 2 medevacs here. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna drop one into the main base and then push with the other? That's what it looks like right now. Meanwhile, great scouting probe in the middle, but it doesn't actually see the army, just the Cyclone.
I mean, even still, that is kind of a tell that you would assume that something is happening here. Classic does have a Colossus. He does have a second one that's really just about done here. He's got these Phoenix on the map as well, building into them more. But the problem, that's a nice catch there on the Widowmine as well. But the thing we have to look at is he thinks this is a full frontal. He thinks there's an attack in the third, and that's it. So he is in no way prepared to deal with this attack in the main. He's got some units rallying over the Colossus, trying to buy time. And that means, hey, you know what? The probes aren't going down just yet, but this is 2 shut down gateways. And that means this pressure at the front on top of Classic's third, it's going to be that much more powerful. So 6 Marines, even if some of them go down steadfast for shutting down production like Clem has, this is marvelous.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. The defense that Classic is trying to go for is very shoestring. It is not easy, and it's very tight on a lot of fronts. So this is already a good find for Clem. He's really trying to keep his opponent in the dark as much as possible. Kudos to Classic for constantly keeping these units moving around, constantly keep them watching for things. Great check on the natural expansion right here. Battery overcharge gets popped. Excellent defense from Classic here. This is a scary situation, and he's dealing with it so well.
Okay, so scan in the main base here. This Colossus is about to get dropped right on top of him. There's no shield battery here, but the Zealots, they join the fray just in time. The thing we have to talk about, by the way, is that the Phoenix count is not that heavy on the map right now. It's only 3 as the fight happens on the third base. Seems like some Widowmines ran in and got a lot of damage done. There really is not a lot to defend this Colossus. So, yeah, Colossus does well against everything that's on the ground, but these Phoenix mostly unfettered, but now they're going to get on top of the Vikings. Colossus will fall, but so too has the rest of the army of Clem here. So Classic, again, he holds on. But losing a Colossus at this point, when you're trying to do that shoestring defense that you're talking about, Steadfast, even a single one, it starts to get really dicey.
It certainly does. Ooh, nice little pick off right there by Clem. Snipes one of the Phoenixes. Does cost him a couple Marines, but like every unit that Classic has is necessary. He needs to hold on. He has been pushed. He is being pushed to the limit. Now he's about to get charge and +1 weapons. Once those complete, that's going to make these kind of defenses a lot more tenable against what Clem is doing with the kind of deep dives with some of the units. You can't really do that against charge. It becomes a lot more difficult to do that. But Clem he has carved out a nice little lead for himself, and he might just get a cancel on this base. Classic wants to contest. I don't know if he's got enough. No, he's going to give up the base. Disruptor shot will be a good connection, but on the right side, Widowmines do connect on the probes.
I think he just ran in there. Now, Zealots, they're done. They're ready. But the problem is there is nothing to defend this Colossus right now. It's like, what, 2 Stalkers, something like that. It really, there's very little anti-air coming out of Classic right now. So Widowmine shots, actually, okay, not enough friendly fire. The Ghosts, well, they're going to be saved. And now with only 5 SCVs going down, that's not what you want. But Zealots are going to chase forward as well. And we will see Disruptors go down. Widowmine's on top of the Colossus as well. They get 1 with the Viking play. So for a moment, Steadfast, Classic looking so solid here. We saw the supply start to equalize. But all of a sudden, it's 37 army supply to 80. And Clem is just, he's steamrolling on through. The fourth base is not going to get up for a while. And just as I started to believe in Classic, Clem just does Clem things.
Yeah, this is what I've been talking about. This is why Clem's TVP right now feels so scary. He micros many fights at once, immaculately. And Classic, he tried to step into the army. He does get one disruptor shot, but it's not enough. He loses both of them. He loses the Colossus and battery overcharge. I mean, it's been a linchpin at this natural expansion, but unless these two disruptors get big hits, I just don't see it happening. Disruptor gets targeted down. Second one gets avoided. There's a counterattack on the other side of the map, finding a couple of zealots or a couple of SCVs, but I think Clem is, well, he's run away with this game at this point, it feels like.
Yeah, this doesn't look fair. Like, I'm looking at this, and you know, Classic did fairly well in the mid game, and then it hasn't felt like Classic has had any opportunity to do anything whatsoever here. It's just, I mean, that's a decent disruptor shot, but it's not really, it's not enough just yet. Now this bio is pretty heavily overstimmed, so if the Zealots and the Stalkers can get on top of that, that's going to be fantastic. But the problem is they can't. This army is so big and the Zealot count is so small that there's no way. Stalkers playing forward, they're just gonna eat Widowmine shots here. That's really not what you want. So Clem, he's got his 4th base. He's got 2-2 just about halfway done. +1 air attack. Is there anything that Clem could possibly want that he doesn't have? I really don't see it.
Yeah, no, he's getting everything he could need. That 4th base, Planetary Fortress completes. He's going to be able to drop up into the main base right now. He's really pushed his opponent to the limit. And I think with these 4 gateways likely about to be depowered and a push on the 3rd base coming on in, I think we might be looking at the beginning of the end. Nice little split from Clem there last second. Widowmine even goes, gets the kill. Oh, and that blink stalkers, that blink forward is going to end up being very expensive for Classic. The drop of the main base does get pushed away for the moment, but we're now looking at a 100 supply lead. Yeah,
literally quadrupling the army, quadrupling the army supply is it's not what you want. 100 army supply lead. Good on Classic for staying into this game, but it seems like actually, I think it was Ancient Cistern versus Euthermal as well, where it's like, well, you know, Classic, you're kind of dead for a while here. You're just relying on a hope and dream, maybe tiring your opponent out. But remember, Steadfast, how that series went as well. Classic, he won the next 2 games. He looked so much better. But we're going to have to, I mean, Classic's defense in the early to mid game, it looked somewhat solid. Clem got a little damage here or there, but then it just exploded. So yeah, you know, Classic play clean, but he's going to have to play even cleaner. He's going to have to take a second job as like a house cleaner or something to learn to play clean enough to beat Clem in this setup. I mean, that looked like Classic had no room to play in this game. Clem played at almost 500 APM that game as a Terran player. That is, there is no there's no APM inflation on that one, Steadfast. That's just speed.
Clem is he's just ridiculously fast. He is ludicrously fast, and Classic was doing a really great job of answering it for a lot of that game, but it felt like at every engagement, Clem was doing just little things, just a little bit better than Classic. And, you know, let's say the 2 players are fighting at 99% efficiency and 97% efficiency. And you have that over the course of, like, what, 40 skirmishes?
Yeah.
I mean, it adds up. It adds up over time. And that's why Clem always wants to be fighting. He feels so confident that his micro can just win out. And that's exactly what we saw.
Yeah, it's going to be fun now. We move on to Grespon for map 2. That's a much bigger, well, actually, it's a bigger map in a different way, right? The rush distances are similar, but it's more spread out. You have bases are a little bit further away from each other for the most part. And if anything, I feel like that favors how Clem wants to play. Classic wants to just have his Phoenix, maybe, have his Colossus, things like that, and go and play in this little ball of the map and then run across and start to really be unlocked and do something. And that is not what Grespon provides. Grespon is this, you have an army on the left, an army on the right, an army in the center, and it's this, there's a reason we love it, right? It really plays into this multitasking, this late game. And if I'm Classic, this cannot make me happy. And remember, I'm going to assume, based on how things happen, this was going to be Classic's map pick because of the picks in the ban, or yeah, this would have been Classic's map pick because Clem, I'm going to assume, had top seed coming from the upper bracket. So, you know, I guess based on how picks and bans happen, this is Classic. I'm assuming this is Classic's map pick. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that for Classic, but for now, we're going to talk about it more after we get in to game 2. And in the upper left, just looking unstoppable, untouchable, insanely good. It's Clem.
And his opponent spawning down on the bottom right. Can he bring it back for the Protoss? It is Classic.
Man.
I said going into this one, don't be too surprised if Classic, pops in a cheeky top 8 and ends up being the best performing Protoss. Of course, being one of the Protoss that was in this winner stage already is obviously going to be a big start for him. It's obviously going to give him a big leg up on that. And then, it's the other two players are Estrella and Haas. But as it stands right now, Classic, he needs to win this series just to match where Estrella has gotten in this one.
Yeah, that is certainly true. And man, bad luck for Classic to see the group. He would have been so much happier in Group A. I don't think that's a crazy statement, but you have the all-time greatest player for ZVP in Cyril, maybe, that you could run into. You have Clem, who is looking untouchable in this matchup right now. You have Dark, who, kind of had his number. Dark plays weird games, even if Classic and Dark have traded games recently. When we look at LAN, or when we look at big tournaments, Dark, he's got the mind games there. This is such a bad group for Classic to play into, really for any Protoss to play into. So he's got a proxy, though, Steadfast. We saw this on Gressfine against Kellizer, thank you. And that worked out fairly well. But, Clem's a whole nother beast, and he's got a Reaper already on the other side.
Yes. Now, we do see, once again, Pylon at home. And this is minimal information for Clem, but, seeing it already is good information. It is notable, of course, that the proxy location is technically different, but very similar in terms of the location on the map where this proxy oracle is going to come on in. Now, let's take a look at Clem's opener so far. He did open up Reaper double Marine into the reactor. So that's quite a delayed reactor. Oh, did he just spot the probe? He did. But does he think to look for it is my question.
That's a very good question. I'm also looking at to see, I want to see how many Adepts Classic commits to, because remember, game one, it was 4. Oh, this Adept maybe dead here. Second one's going to try to shade it, and that will scare things back. And now Clem is maybe overcommitted a little bit. Get both. Yeah, okay, he gets both the Marines, but he does lose an Adept for it, which is not quite where you want to be. But that's not a lot of anti-air right now.
Yes, exactly. That's what he's looking for. Now, fortunately for Clem, he did go for a very quick Cyclone here, but Classic doesn't know that, and that's why he went for that trade, and that's why he was happy to go for that trade. Classic will pick off another Marine here. He's actually killed so many of the Marines. There's literally one Cyclone on the map, and that's it at the moment. And now the Oracle is going to come into the natural expansion. It's going to be able to find, 2 SCVs. Oh, the Cyclone. Okay, lock-on will be broken. Classic wants to find more value with this, but he's only going to be able to get one additional SCV before he is forced away.
I was really thinking that was going to get so much more done, because lock-on use Cyclone in the natural. But, you don't want to sacrifice your Oracle, right? That's kind of the end of the day, end of the play. Even as you look at this, it's like, well, it's very low, whatever, but certainly keeping that Oracle behind the mineral line gives you the opportunity to drop a stasis. That was more than anything that got so much damage against Kelliser's. Oracle dives in, gets another worker, so call it 4 now, on top of all the Marines that were killed. But now the question we ask ourselves is, where does Classic go off of this? We don't have a third base. Blink is getting chronoed out. Is this, it looks like the probe wants to get a third base now, but this is a very late third, Steadfast.
Yeah, part of it was harassed and blocked a little bit by the Reaper. Yeah. But yeah, he definitely does want to find some value with this Blink follow-up. And with 2 gases already, the natural should be a very quick Colossus transition as well. And there it is, Robotics Bay instantly thrown down before Observer starts, before warping in any additional Stalkers. Really wants to head into the next stage of tech, and I think he needs it quite badly. Yeah,
he got some damage done, but yeah, you're right. You do have to be very careful with how aggressive Clem has been showing, especially with how, again, we're seeing that Ryung idea, right? That 6-minute stim that is so powerful, especially against this, because Steadfast, if you want to take a look at this, all right, yes, it was a proxy Oracle, and yes, we saw some adept pressure, but this effectively has the bones of Oracle into Blink, right? That was the build that we talked about a year and a half ago that was like, okay, you know, this is the build that is going to make PvT really strong back in Katowice 2022, and then we saw pretty much this exact build as a counter. The 6-minute stim, you run across the map, there really is not enough on the ground to defend. So Clem is going for that, and certainly there is a Colossus on the way, so that is an evolution. But is one Colossus enough to sustain the pressure that Clem's starting to throw up?
That is a good and valid question. It will depend basically where the Colossus is, and additionally, how quickly Classic sees this, because I don't think, okay, Clem is going to show it immediately, but we're going to see, we might see extended thermal lance get canceled. Okay, there's the recall. This is looking like a lot of damage. Stalker's going down. Oracle falls. Classic taking so much damage. Clem really finding value with this double drop.
It's just not fair, Steadfast. Like, we saw Classic, he got reasonable damage done off of his proxy Oracle. He killed Marines, he killed workers, and then Clem just kills him. It's 11 dead workers. It's a ton of dead Stalkers. Clem is just, it's ridiculous. Like,
yeah, he Classic, that recall was ill-fated.
It really was.
That was not the play. Not recalling into it, but more importantly, he just needed to know what was coming, and he needed to have the Colossus ready to fight right away if he was going to recall into it. As it stands now, there's no charge just yet. It's still a little bit of a ways off. This is quite a few Marauders. Fortunately, the Immortal pops out, and Extended Thermal Lance is about to complete. So I think Classic at the very least can push this little army back, but Clem has already gained such a tempo advantage.
Yeah, it's funny. You can see there, Clem was thinking really heavily about stimming on top of the Colossus. Didn't go for it. And now with the, he's going to have to back up. But you could see he wanted that one. And now playing on high ground, low ground, having some, I mean, really, this is Classic's high ground, but Medevacs give enough vision for it. But he's going to have to back up anyways. And now Classic, he does have...
Well, that went really well for Classic. He killed like 3 Marauders and a couple Marines for just a couple Zealots at a period of extreme vulnerability. And once again, Clem is kind of getting jumped a little bit here. His multitasking that was looking so good in game number 1. I talked about those little things he was doing in all the skirmishes. The last 2 skirmishes he's done, he has not been doing those things. But now we see another drop coming into the main base, finds another 7 probes with a Widowmine drop, and that enables this bio drop to get out of the corner.
Classic doesn't know that. Observer gets out. I was gonna say, it feels like Classic doesn't know that this was Widow Mines. I think he thinks all the damage really came from the bio drop. So now Widow Mines are just okay. No, he saw them. Okay, so Widow Mines, 4 workers could have been worse, but such a 6. It's such a last second pull. I don't think he realized what was happening. I don't think he saw the Widow Mines on top of everything else really until the last second. And okay, finally the Widow Mine will fall. Pulled the Observer out a little too soon, but he's gonna be okay with that for now. And now he's down. I thought I saw him go kill that. Apparently not.
Yeah,
so
I thought he did too. I thought that's why I looked away, is I thought the Widow Mine died, and clearly so did Classic. Oh no, not like this. It's only 2 probes, but Classic is closer back in supply than he was before, and now he's got a little counterattack on the other side of the map. Finds a couple of SCVs, not amazing. Great unland from Clem right there. Now it is important to note the double upgrades for Classic are not going to equalize the upgrades. They will bring it back to not so bad, but it is a big upgrade lead. Nice cancel right there on the 4th base by Clem. I mean, Clem is just looking so comfortable in this matchup in general.
yeah, I mean, again, the double upgrades will equalize for a time, but really, for a very brief period of time. It actually seems like Classic is. He might have an opportunity to take advantage of that timing, and this is a good start. You snipe. Yes, you would love to get the attack upgrade more, but getting rid of armor, it's big. Massive. Yeah. It gives you so much room in this game. Well, it gives you more room than you had, I guess. As Vikings run forward here, Colossus getting so low. Disruptor shot gets nothing. And these Colossus, they do not find their way back to a shield battery. There's not one here because the fourth base was already canceled early on. And again, fourth base canceled, fourth base denied. Clem is going to force Classic back once again. And all of a sudden, it's a 50 supply. It's a 50 supply lead all of a sudden.
Yeah, once again, it's a big supply lead. Clem is landing his fourth base. This is now the second time he's denied Classic's fourth base. I am just struggling to see a way that Classic can deal with what Clem's been throwing at him. The disruptors are on the field in decent numbers, but Classic, I mean, he can't get the connections unless Clem kind of lets him a little bit right here. And Clem has been doing such a good job of just staying dancy with his army and staying at range.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, we're looking at this. Clem hasn't done anything extremely technical, right? He hasn't done something crazy as a disruptor shot. He's going to get a couple Marines. He's just played so... He has done he's done the standard play so cleanly here that he has not given Classic any opportunity to do anything. And now, I mean, Classic's stuck in his natural. EMPs kill off one disruptor. Zealots, they're going to run forward, but the Widow Mines are so nice, and these Ghosts are just absolutely shredding the Zealous. Disruptor shot in the back line is going to be fine, but this wall of Vikings, normally you say, not all that great, right? Disruptors are on the field. He dodges the disruptor shot now on the backside here. What's in that Warp Prism?
I think it's just Zealots. Yeah, that's not enough. There's no Storm. There's no nothing like that. We are going to see one of the disruptors getting sniped down. Classic, he's making his stand, but Clem is making a statement. And that statement is, I am into the next round. Disruptors 1, 2 do get taken out. Third one gets dodged. Fourth one gets killed. And Clem will force the tap out very well.